The number one way you can change your life in 6 months as a Christian homemaker, or as a mom even, and become unrecognizable is to... If you've ever felt like you have lost yourself in homemaking, you're not alone. Let's talk about how to change your life in 6 months as a Christian homemaker, or essentially become unrecognizable in 90 days as a homemaker. First, you know me, we're gonna have a little fun. So today I'm going to teach you how to become completely unrecognizable in 90 days as a homemaker. You ready? Let's go. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, who is that woman? Well, congratulations, friend. You might already be in your homemaker glow-up era. Today I'm showing you how to become completely unrecognizable in just 90 days. Let's get started. Tip number 1, get pregnant. Works every time. In just 90 days, your body, your hormones, your wardrobe, all unrecognizable. And then in another 90 days, you'll have a new wardrobe and you'll be completely unrecognizable all over again. And another 90 days after that, ta-da! You'll have a baby to accessorize with, and boom, 3 glow-ups in 1 year. Nobody will recognize you, not even you. Tip number 2.
If pregnancy is not your thing, maybe you're over 40 and you're ready for something new, may I interest you in perimenopause?
You can go from a size 8 to a size 12 in literally 1 month. I know because I've done it. Your hair changes from youthful oily to very, very, very dry. And your spinning plates, they start crashing because your memory hits the floor, just like your hormones. And your, no, you won't go there. Wait, let's just say it's like a subscription box for body changes, but you can't cancel it. Tip number 3, become a homeschool mom. Oh, this one's powerful. You'll forget what day of the week it is. You'll live on cold coffee, find yourself prepping lessons at 4 a.m. in the morning like a caffeinated raccoon. You'll be so unrecognizable that your husband won't even recognize you. Tip number 5, hang on for this one. Get all home steady. Oh yeah, nothing says glow up like becoming a goat midwife or adopting a bottled baby goat. You'll start using words like broody and fermenting and forget what mascara even is. If you're lucky, your kids might even name a goat after you. And that will be your legacy. Okay, seriously. I am a little bit of an oddball, I know. And if you want to know the truth, I actually do think and recommend all 4 of those things. But I know that not all of those are for everybody or appealing to everybody. And so I'm going to teach you some ways, some real ways that any homemaker can truly become unrecognizable in 90 days or less now. All right, so we're going to start this little chat with the fun stuff, okay? The little bit more superficial stuff, because I know that that part is really fun for a lot of you, but we are going to dive into some deeper spiritual talks on ways to change yourself as well. Now, every few years or so, I feel like I kind of become a different person on the outside as a woman. We just change, you know, we grow, we shift, we evolve, we mold, whatever you want to call it. Lately, I have been going through perimenopause, and with that has come some weight gain and a whole new relationship with my body. So one of the things that I am doing to become unrecognizable is I am learning to take better care of myself than I did before. I have been working out more, not in a punishment way, but as a very new, let's support this new version of me and build some strength kind of way so that I can actually pick up my grandbabies someday down the road when I eventually have some. Another thing that I'm doing is a closet cleanse. I like to do this every few years anyways, and get rid of whatever doesn't suit me anymore, whatever doesn't fit right, whatever has holes, because keeping clothes that make you feel bad about yourself, well, that's just a bad idea for anybody. And not something I have patience for anymore. So out they go. And once the emotional clutter is out, in my closet, I look at what's working and I reassess my entire style. What I feel good in, what looks best on me, and what needs to change. And I'm actually going through this process right now. So you might be noticing a lot of style changes in my clothes over the next month or 2. I have just been noticing that a lot of the attire that I was wearing, that I was not necessarily loving, but wearing because I kind of felt like it was the aesthetic that a lot of people that watch the kinds of videos that I create like to see, but so much of the style, it just didn't look good on me. And I didn't feel comfortable in it. I felt overweight and frumpier in a lot of it. So yeah, I'm doing a style revamp right now as we speak, actually. Well, not as we speak, but you know what I mean. So once I go through everything and find what's working, what really actually looks good on me and what really doesn't, I feel totally transformed actually. So I have a video all about this process and some of my style tips. I will link to that below for you if you want a deeper dive on that, or I'll put it in the cards here. But I also want to talk about the inner work, because becoming unrecognizable, it isn't just about the packaging. There are some very important basic character steps that I like to use every time I feel a shift coming on. So one of the biggest ones is doing what I call a stress audit. I sit down and I look at what's overwhelming me, and I try to identify the things that are draining me, draining my family, draining our house, our home, the homemaking journey for no good reason. And then I work on eliminating them gently, intentionally, without guilt. Because every time I do that, every time I release something that's weighing our household down emotionally, mentally, physically, we all grow into a version of ourselves that we barely recognize, but in the best way. With that said, I want to dive a little bit more deeply into this topic. The number one way you can change your life in 6 months as a Christian homemaker, or as a mom even, and become unrecognizable is to obliterate, overwhelm, crush it. You can do this by learning how, I promise. If you've ever felt like you've lost yourself in homemaking, like you've lost your spark, and like you're just not getting very much joy in homemaking for your family, you're not alone. Let's talk about what it really means to change your life as a Christian homemaker. We're gonna have some real talk. If you want to become unrecognizable in 90 days as a homemaker, there are 3 key components that essentially all come down to one thing in my book, and it's good versus bad management. I got a comment from one of you lovely mamas here recently. The comment was from an overwhelmed mom who was asking me how I balance everything. Now, if you're new here, let me just quickly, very briefly introduce myself. I have been a Christian homemaker for over 30 years. Ma got me started early. I have been a homemaker and a mama for over 20 years. I am a mom of 6, from adult down to young child, and I've homeschooled from the start. Got 2 graduates so far, so yay. We have a small farm or homestead, whatever you want to call it, and I do work. So my honest answer to the sweet mama that was feeling overwhelmed and asking this question, I don't balance it all. Not in the way you think I do. I don't balance it all, I prioritize. I also accept that motherhood has seasons and certain times for certain activities. And that right there is really important.
I want to take a couple minutes and thank today's sponsor. Without sponsors like this, I wouldn't be able to create these videos for all of you. So I am so thankful for them. Today's sponsor is Needed. No pun intended.
You all know I don't share anything I don't personally use and love and believe in, especially when it comes to women's health. And as a woman who has walked through so many seasons, from pregnancy, postpartum, nursing, pregnancy losses, and now perimenopause, I've learned how deeply our bodies need support through each and every transition. That is why I am so grateful for Needed. It was created by 2 mothers who are also trained nutritionists who built a comprehensive nutritional system that actually supports fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and lifelong women's health, way beyond the basics. What I love about Needed is that they don't cut corners. Every product follows their brand promise, optimal nutrient levels designed for absorption, vetted by perinatal experts, rigorously third-party tested, and backed by clinical research and insights from over 10,000 practitioners. They're a certified B Corp, climate neutral, and part of the 1% for the planet. These are women designing for women and for families. Right now, I'm taking their stress support, which had thousands of women on the wait list. One of my healthcare providers actually recommended ashwagandha for me. So I love that this formula includes clinically studied ingredients like sensorial ashwagandha and Afron saffron, as well as other key ingredients like holy basil, rhodiola, and schisandra, as well as shatavari. This formula supports a healthy stress response, relaxation, resilience to everyday stress. It helps to lower cortisol levels and enhance positive mood, as well as restful sleep without making you drowsy. It is breastfeeding safe, third party tested and works with your body, not against it. I am also taking their cellular aging support, especially now that I'm navigating perimenopause. It supports healthy cellular aging and energy, mitochondrial and ovarian health, and a healthy inflammatory response. All things that we feel in this stage of life and motherhood. It is vegan, made without the top 9 allergens, third-party tested, and holds 2 Clean Label Project awards. If you're in a season of fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, or just motherhood in general, nutrition really does make a difference for both you and your family. Right now, Needed is offering an extra 20% off your first order, including one-time purchases or already discounted subscriptions and plans. So just head to the link in my description box or use my code MountainMama at checkout. The number one way you can change your life in 6 months as a Christian homemaker, or as a mom even, and become unrecognizable is to obliterate overwhelm, crush it. You can do this by learning how, I promise. And the key to it is to prioritize. For me, I do this in a very concrete, very basic, simple, plain way. I learned to build my days around what I call faith, food, and then home. Now, before I go on, if you are an overwhelmed mama and you just can't seem to get your game on, I do want to tell you about something I created just for you to help you crush overwhelm and enter your homemaker glow up era for realsies. I created a masterclass. If you have been feeling like you are stuck in survival mode, I want to invite you to my free masterclass. In my masterclass, I'll walk you through the same simple process that I developed over 10 years ago and that I use every time I need to get out of the chaos hamster wheel and back to peace. I will teach you how to reset your home, your routines, and your mindset with grace, not guilt. You will learn how to recognize the root of your overwhelm, how to pick priorities that align with your family and values and beliefs. The result is a pathway that leads you to feeling like you can breathe again. Because yes, it is possible to become unrecognizable in 90 days and even get a good chunk of that dream homemaker life that you thought was possible in the beginning but kind of lost sight of along the way. I will teach you how to become the peaceful, purposeful homemaker God designed you to be. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for calm, join me inside the masterclass. Let's rebuild your home and your heart one faithful step at a time. Okay, let's get back to it. So here is how I prioritize my life. I like to take a very tangible, practical approach. No nonsense. Don't have time for it. I have ADHD. My priorities are based on basic needs, both spiritual and physical. Because over the last 20 plus years as a Christian wife and mama, I have seen time and time again where when those 2 areas are cared for, everything else just kind of falls into place. Maybe not the way that we always want it or would like, and maybe it takes some time. Let's go into a little more detail and the psychology behind it. I'm not sure psychology is the right word to use there, but hey, it sounded impressive. So we're going to talk about physical care right here. We're going to talk about your physical needs because, homemaker mama, you cannot pour from an empty cup. This sounds cliche. I know we keep hearing it, blah, blah, blah. But apparently, the people in the back still can't grasp it. FYI, there are seasons when I'm back there too, so no shade to anybody who's in the back, okay? But what we're talking about is air, food, water, clothing, shelter, and sleep. Today, let's focus on the last 2, sleep and food. One piece of advice I hate hearing is just wake up before the baby or wake up before the kids. Okay, that works for me now, but it did not work for me for 15 years straight while I was having and nursing babies. I have been pregnant a lot of times and I've had 6 children living. If I got up, my babies somehow knew and they would get up too right with me. When I started a part-time job, when my 4th was little, I would get up around 1 and 2 in the morning to work and it was a challenge. We got through it and thankfully that stage only lasted about a year with each child. Now I do get up before my kids, but only because I go to bed before everybody else in the house. So that's my little survival sleep hack. If you're in a season of having children, please listen to me. You don't understand. You don't understand the toll that giving birth, nursing, and raising toddlers takes on you. This is not the time to be all boss babe unless you really have to survive. Your health will take a hit eventually. Trust me, I know, I've been there and done that. This is the time to settle down. Take care of the little ones. Take care of you. Rest. Recover as much as you can. The only hustle you need to be doing is chasing that toddler down and some sleep and catching your breath. As soon as your youngest child, I promise, as soon as your youngest child hits around 4 or 5, you're going to be astonished at how alive and the glow up that takes place just naturally. So if you are in that season, please stop forcing yourself to rise so early if you need sleep. Pay attention to your body. Sleep is when our bodies heal, rest, and recover and prepare for the next day. You want to know how to become unrecognizable in 90 days as a homemaker? Get some sleep. In fact, it won't even take 90 days. You'll probably be unrecognizable in less than a week. A lack of adequate sleep will make you the most agitated, exhausted, and irritable mother. Here is what lack of sleep does to you, okay? Listen up. I didn't make this up. It impairs your focus. It impairs your memory. It impairs your decision making. Weakens your immune system. It increases stress hormones. Hello, anxiety, irritability, and belly fat. It slows down your metabolism, ages your skin faster, makes it harder to regulate your emotions. And yes, that is why you snap sometimes. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night to function well. Not thrive, just function. So if you're not getting it, your body is running on fumes. Your mental health will start to wobble. Even your ability to adapt to stress goes out the window. You'll be unrecognizable, but not in the way that you want. So what if you want to get up before the kids to do devotions? I will talk more about that after I share the next tip, so stick around for that because it's good. We're gonna talk about food now. I am in the perimenopausal stage where things just kind of get a little wacky and it's just crazy, you all. It's really crazy. All the stories you hear, they're true. But this is actually one of my biggest challenges. I actually forget to eat all of the time. You'd never know by looking, but yep, it's true. And let me tell you what happens when I do. My blood sugar crashes. I get irritable and anxious. My anxiety starts to rise. My energy tanks. My hair starts shedding. And my hormones, they start a full-blown revolt. My husband has learned if I'm even slightly grouchy or irritable or down in the dumps, all he has to do is feed me. Instant glow up. All right, this last tip is really big and it's very dear to my heart and important. Before I share this, let me give you just a little bit of a backstory though. So no shade to my parents, okay? Please, no shade there. They did the best they could. But I come from a background of complex post-traumatic stress disorder and a long history of spiritual and emotional abuse. My background was seeped in legalism. By age 30, my whole world had completely crumbled. I didn't know who was and who wasn't my friend anymore because I was an outcast. Quite literally, my husband and I were excommunicated from our church. By the time I was 35, I was afraid that I was going to hell because of my ancestry. So rebuilding my faith and learning who God really is, that has been my greatest glow up of all. Spiritual care. Faith is everything to me when it comes to spiritual care. And I don't say that lightly. I know some of you are Christians, some of you aren't. But one of the most healing things that I have ever done, one of the greatest glow ups, is to read the Bible in different forms, different than what I was raised with. Like through the YouVersion app or on different translations. Sometimes just hearing the scripture in a new translation or a new way helps you to see God in a new light that you maybe hadn't before. So if you've experienced spiritual abuse or legalism, this is a really good way to reconnect with God, to hear his words fresh and unfiltered without the weight of religion attached. There is no glow up like growing closer to God and realizing he's there, he's got you, and he loves you. And I want that for you. I talk about this on this channel regularly, but did you know that if you look up the meaning of ministry, one of the meanings is to serve? Homemaking is a ministry. And here's the thing, taking care of your body physically and spiritually, it isn't selfish, it's sacred work because taking care of your family is a ministry. You are literally building a safe place for souls to grow, rest, heal, including your own. So no, you're not just keeping house. You are doing kingdom work right there in the kitchen, the laundry room, and every small act of love that nobody sees or seems to appreciate, but God does. So yes, let's glow up, not from filters or hustle or fake perfection or Botox. Ooh. But from rest, nourishment, and walking closely with the one who restores us from the inside out. All right, now I promised I would share with you how to do devotions if you've got babies and they get up before you. Like I know a lot of times the day starts before you do when you've got children. The day starts where, you wake up but here's a story for you. One time, it was very early in the morning. I had I believe he was 2 at the time, and he was not your typical 2-year-old. He was an extremely observant child. At age 3, he knew where everything was in the kitchen because he had been watching me. So this was before he was 3, he was 2. And I heard this noise in the kitchen very early one morning. So I went out and he was sitting there doing his little peanut butter and jelly sandwich, putting it all together. You know, this is how it goes. When you've got kids, sometimes they wake up before you. And sometimes they wake up all through the night. So what do you do when you're sleep deprived? Or what do you do when the kids are up before you, even if it's like 5 in the morning, okay? Here's what you do. You turn the me upside down. You know what happens if you take an M and you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. And instead of me, you've got we. This is where most moms fail to understand their new role, especially new moms. It's not you anymore. You don't need all the you time that you think you do. When God gives you a little child, you are supposed to not stretch your life to completely revolve around them. You're to bring them into your life. So what you do is you do the devotions with the child. You read to them scripture. Keep your Bible in a spot, a central spot. If you've got a house big enough to do that, put your Bible in a central spot. Walk past it, and it's there and it's open. You can read a verse here and there in the day. Read it out loud. You don't need to be reading to yourself as much anymore. You can read these out loud to your children. They need to hear this. They need to see you pray. They need to hear you pray. They need to see you reading the Bible. It doesn't need to be just all you anymore. You can share now. And this is the mission of motherhood. One of the other things that I did to become unrecognizable as a homemaker and to my family, so I guess as a mom, was I stopped letting all the crap, all the thorns in life stop me from getting to self-care, to the things that I needed to take care of myself. So in other words, I need a cup of tea. All these dishes are in the way. Couldn't even have a cup of tea because the cups are all dirty. All right, well, just grab a cup, get the tea, get what I need, take care of myself. Then I'll have the energy to take care of all of the mess. As a Christian woman and a Christian homemaker, there are 2 really big things that I can think of that I have done in my life to become unrecognizable. I used to be what you would probably call a know-it-all. I was homeschooled and I spent most of my life up to, turning 20 in books and learning from other adults. So I guess you could say I was a bit of an old soul, but there's a difference between knowing something and experiencing it and knowing it. And when I was younger, there were a lot of things I knew but had not quite yet experienced. Like I knew them to be true in my head, and I knew what was right and wrong, and I knew a lot of more rights and wrongs, I guess you could say, for a younger person. But I didn't know it from a place of experiencing it. And so I came across it as a know-it-all. So one of the things that I learned to do to become unrecognizable in a short amount of time was I stopped feeling like I needed to be the resource for everything. So in other words, instead of saying something and putting it out there as fact, saying, well, I've heard, and then cite the source, and then go on to say whatever it was. So this did 2 things. Once, it removed me from being the person who just appeared like a know-it-all. Secondly, it helped others to trust me more. And another thing it did is it started building my credibility, because people would feel like, with a know-it-all, people feel like they can't really talk to a know-it-all because that person knows it all and they're just going to get some random know-it-all facts. But when you put yourself in the position of as more of an informant, what it does is it causes people to trust you and say, well, I don't have the solution to this problem, but maybe Shayla knows. And if she doesn't know, she might know of the direction to point me in. So what it did is it helped me share what I did know, and it helped people trust me and come to me more often for answers, knowing that I wasn't just going to spout random facts with no references. I hope that made sense. And the other thing that I definitely did that made me unrecognizable was I started making it a habit to give those people credit. So in other words, I stopped taking credit. I really believe that God is not happy with us when we try to take credit for things that were not ours, for truths that we know but maybe didn't learn ourselves. It's really a bad idea to take credit for things that aren't yours to take credit for. And I don't believe God is happy with that when people do that. So I hope all of that made sense. So the second thing that I stopped doing that I know made me very unrecognizable to some people
was I stopped gossiping. I started being very careful. There is a difference between sharing important information and gossip. Okay, I heard a sermon once years ago that said that the preacher was going on and saying that if you gossip, if you talk shade on other people and are overly critical and constantly talking other people down, God cannot bless you. And it's a horrible practice to do. So I stopped talking bad about other people behind their back. If I have a problem with somebody, I will go to them and I will address them. But I learned in all of that process, when you start talking positively about people instead of negatively, it feels so much better. There is something addictive about ranking other people down, but there's something addictive about the counter to that too, where you're talking other people up, building them up. And it feels so much better to say nice things about people than it does negative. If you would like more homemaking, mothering, and if you would like my help overcoming overwhelm, be sure to look at that masterclass. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been a blessing.